So thank you for being on. We all know how busy you are. We're going to get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But given your schedule, I did want to.
I've only got 5 minutes, so.
I did hear that you did have time a few nights ago to watch Jodie Whittaker.
I did, yes. Yes. Yeah, she was up there. She was
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I was thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled as a fan of Doctor Who. I'm thrilled as an ex-Doctor Who. I'm thrilled as a friend and a fan of Jodie. For Chris Chibnall, who's now the showrunner, and for a new generation of children who've got a new Doctor to fall in love with. For all those groups, I'm thrilled.
And is it true that right before her casting was announced, you were told you were going to get a phone call from someone who was the next Doctor?
Well, because we all know each other from Broadchurch. Chris Chibnall was the showrunner on Broadchurch. He's now moved on to be showrunner on Doctor Who, and his first act was to choose a new Doctor. And Chris and I had a big dinner when he was starting the process. We just talked through sort of what the show is like and the kind of the beast of it, and also we just had a good old gossip, really. But he was giving nothing away at all. As the months went on, I kept trying to sort of prompt him for, who are you thinking of? And I would get ideas and text him and go, oh, about this person. And he would go, good idea, not the right one. I sort of thought maybe, I don't know, it did occur to me that Jodie would be a great choice, and that obviously he knew that, you can trust her, and she's quite good, all that. And then he said, so this must have been 3 days before it was announced to the world. He said, the new Doctor would like to speak to you. Do you mind if they call you? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, well, the next number that comes up on your phone will be the new Doctor. And of course, because Jodie's in my phone, her name pops up. So that was very exciting. And we just sort of screamed at each other for a bit. And then she said, you got any advice? I went, no, you're on your own. Because there's not really anything to say, it's just, if there's any pearls of wisdom to pass on, it's more about the kind of the phenomenon of it, sort of what it does to your life, because it's a show that attracts a sort of scrutiny and attention and love that is unlike anything else.
Can you sort of split your career or your life before Doctor Who and after? I mean, did everything change in terms of walking the streets?
Yeah, I suppose I think it's fair to say that it probably did. Yeah, Jodie's already more of a sort of known face than I was. I'd done some stuff in Blackpool that you saw and Casanova that you saw. So I'd done some stuff. I would, now and again, people would know who I was and say hi and stuff. But it wasn't a kind of every time you went to the supermarket situation. Yeah. And then Doctor Who it's just on a different level. The attention that it gets. It's been running 50 years. Yeah. So people have grown up with this show. It's been part of their life. And very few people feel badly towards Doctor Who. You might not be a fan. You might not obsess about it. You might not know that, the names of all the Doctors or who the Drashigs were. Yeah, a few. But it's a danagram of dish rags, just for Doctor Who trivia. Where were we? But most people, certainly in the UK and increasingly in the US and around the world, most people at least know what Doctor Who is, and they know what the TARDIS looks like. It's a bit of the cultural furniture. Yeah. But it's rare to find someone who dislikes it or is angry about it or feels anything other than sort of, oh, that's a nice thing, that's a positive thing. So it's a very nice. If you have to be associated with anything, it's a nice thing to be associated with. But it has, as we see, it has a level of attention attached to it that's difficult to escape.
So if I asked you to clear your head and just think of the one episode that meant most to you.
You're going to ask me what my favorite episode is?
Trying to find a way around phrasing it that way.
Right.
Or maybe not even favorite, but the one that if your brain is clear, the one that first pops up.
You mean the one that was sort of most fundamental to change my life? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, more or less.
My wife's in the other room. Is that what you're saying? Is that... She's watching this. Yeah. I watched the first half of that video with my wife, and she'd run over and go, "Oh, I didn't like that one." Oh, no, I liked that one. Oh, that one was boring. Why did you do that again? I told you not to do that one.
And when
so
you were...
Yes, my life changed. Yes, there was an episode of that. Is that what you mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, well, there was an episode on which I met the woman who would become my wife, but that was, we met, we didn't get together for a long time after that.
Well, you could also say that your life changed when John Pertwee transformed into Tom Baker.
Oh, that's the one you mean?
Well, that goes way back.
The thing is, there are moments. Yeah, Doctor Who does run through my life because I watched it from when I was very small, and
according to the calendar, then you were probably 3 or 4 years old.
I was 3 or 4 years old. Yeah, I vividly remember seeing John Pertwee turn into Tom Baker. I don't think I knew who either of those individuals were or quite what that meant, but there was something about that. And in my head, it was a magnificent, wondrous special effect. You see it now. There's just two blokes' faces, and they just go whoop. But in my 3 or 4 year old mind, it was a remarkable something just captured my imagination. And I remember, and maybe it wasn't that day, because that seems too convenient. And I was very young, and I now have a 3-year-old, and I think surely I was a bit older than that. But I remember that caused me to have a conversation with my parents about acting and about the fact that these were people who pretended and told you stories, and getting what that was. You know, people talk about kids can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality. In terms of watching things on the TV, I absolutely got that. I got that these were people pretending to be other people or aliens or whatever, and that was something I wanted a shot at.
Well, and your parents also were watching you through the window in the back garden. They thought you were talking to yourself.
Yes.
But you were creating roles and...
No, it's true. I did used to act out stories with myself, playing all the parts. Doctor Who and other shows in the back garden. Yeah, I would. My granny knitted me a Tom Baker scarf, and then later a Peter Davison cricket jumper, which is weird. I don't know if he knows that. So yes, I did. I used to go in my back garden and I'd tell stories to myself.
And who were people you looked up to even as a kid? I mean, I'm wondering, was Sean Connery a big deal in?
Sean Connery is sort of the king of Scotland, unofficially.
Yes.
But I don't know that I didn't particularly focus on him. I mean, I love a James Bond movie, but I think that was probably later. As a child, it was shows very. I mean, Doctor Who was a big part of my childhood, and it was shows like that. Shows like Blake's 7, which nobody over here knows. Oh no,
I do know it.
8 people. Blake's 8 are here. Shows like that. The Incredible Hulk. I loved that show. I mean, I loved the Incredible Hulk comic books and the Incredible Hulk TV show. 2 very different experiences. One where he's kind of, in the comic books, where he's fighting sort of robots and gargantuan monsters and he's going into micro-universes and he's flying into space with the Fantastic Four. And on TV, he's rescuing dogs from trees. And sort of, being a pal to little Jimmy that gets bullied at school. A very different type of, but I love that show too. I loved it, that captured my imagination. That sort of, the bit where he'd look up and he had the white contact lenses in. Still to this day, if I see that, it puts a shiver down my spine. It's great, yeah.
So as you got older and were becoming an actor, I think everyone probably here knows the story already, but Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys.
Yes.
Is a name you came across while looking through a music magazine.
Well, I was 16. And I had to change my name. British Actors Equity, which is the only actors union in the UK, they have a rule that no 2 actors can have the same name. It's because it's like your brand, isn't it?
I think it's the same thing in the US.
Well, yes, it is. But that's chapter 2 of this story.
Oh.
So I changed my name. I had to come up with a name. When I was 16, I thought, we didn't know any actors. It wasn't like I knew I could sort of consult with Derek Jacobi. I was in Paisley. I was just sitting there going, how do actors change their name? I thought, well, I want to change my first name, because then I'd be at work and people wouldn't know what to call me. So I'll change my surname. How do you change your surname? And my parents were going, well, your granny's uncle's nephew is McChuchter or whatever it was. And And I thought, oh no, I don't want to do. You know, I was 16. I was like, anything my parents said was like, oh, you're so lame. So I had a copy of Smash Hits, which was a music magazine. And I thought, well, I'll just see what names look good on a page. And you had to come up with some options. So I came up with. Does anyone remember Spear of Destiny? Oof, 3 people. Spear of Destiny. Their lead singer was Kirk Brandon. Mm-hmm. So I thought David Brandon, that'd be good. That would have been much better, because for an alphabetical cast list,
it'd be higher, yeah.
I wish I'd thought through that. David Aberdeen or something is what. Actually, that would have been quite good. So I went David Brandon and David Tennant, Neil Tennant from the Portugal. That name looks good. I put them down, and Brandon was obviously taken, so my equity card came back with David Tennant on it. And then I went, I can't have a different name. That's weird. But I did. So yes, that's chapter 1 of the story. Then, a million years later, I come to the US to do a movie called Fright Night. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Cheers. And the Screen Actors Guild went, oh, you can't be called David Tennant. And I said, what? And they said, well, you can't be, we've got a David Tennant. You can't have that name. And I said, well, but I've been working for like 15 years. I phoned up British Equity, and they went, don't worry, we'll sort this out. They phoned back and went, no, SAG are really scary. We're getting nowhere. How about a middle initial? They said. And I said, I can't change my name again. It's not even my real name. I'm changing my fake name twice. And then, because America loves litigation, it turns out somebody had taken SAG to court to say, you can't, my name is real, and I don't know who this person is. If you're in the audience, thank you. Let's call them Fred Bloggs. I'm probably not meant to tell this story. I'll probably get into trouble for this. Fred Bloggs took the Screen Actors Guild to court and said, my name is Fred Bloggs, you can't make me change it. And they went, oh, well, if your name's actually Fred Bloggs, then you don't have to change it. So that there was a precedent in their rule book. But it didn't work for me, because my name wasn't David Tennant. So I changed my name so I could keep my name. So I now am actually David Tennant.
You are?
Yeah.
So on your documents and on
everything,
your
I'm now,
passport.
I had to legally change it. So I just had a baby. So she was McDonald for about a week.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, it was all, that was, yeah. So, I mean, thanks.